Moin, welcome to Origination Overload. Today we've got three producers who are going to take one sample and flip the sample into a track. They'll also explain to us how they went about making the track, and then we'll look at the other producers' reactions to these tracks. So let's take a listen to the sample that we flipped. We found the sample on Pixabay, and the track is called 1930s CD Street Music. So yeah, that is the sample. Let's see how the producers went about flipping this into a track.
Hello everybody, my name is Cameron Aves Davis. I'm a music producer and composer, filmmaker, actor, all these sorts of things. I was one of the producers tasked with flipping this very odd sort of sample of CD street music. Ooh. So let me show you what I did. So first I loaded the sample a few times. I wanted to find drums first. So I found sort of a little bit of a bass drum or a bass note that makes this sound. I added a pitch envelope, and then I added sausage fattener and blood overdrive to make it into some sort of kick. I then found a hi-hat, which is literally just the hi-hat sample from the thing, with sausage fattener and EQing. And then I also found that hi-hat and pitched it down one octave, added extra sort of limiter and overdrive and reverb, and basically it sounds like a clap. I then needed a main instrument for this, so I found a sort of teensy little bit of the trumpet that's playing. Added a delay, a phaser, a compressor, and a filter, and it makes this noise. I then wanted a bass, so I found a bass note, a really tiny plunky thingy. I added sound goodizer, I added a chorus, I added actually a guitar rig, and then overdrive, and that made this. And I added a sub bass to that. I also found this really weird little pluck thingy, added a bunch of effects. Also, I added a pad here from Flex so that I could have some chords, because finding chords in that sample was really difficult. So I just added my own. Here is a bit of the sample that I actually put into Paul Stretch outside of the program. I added a sound goodizer. I added a compressor. I added D-Blue Glitch, which is a really fun glitch program. I added D-Blue Crusher, which is a bit crusher. I added Love Filter, which has a gate on it, and I added some reverb, so now it sounds completely different. And then it drops into a sort of chorus, which I didn't have another lead, so I literally just made a supersaw. And it goes on like that until it finishes up the song. So that's what I did for my track. Hope you enjoyed this really weird sample flip I did.
Ooh, it's a lot of stereo within this.
Nice vibe to it.
It's unexpected.
It's hard to hear the original sample in here, but it's been twisted up pretty good.
And that snare. Some really nice full bass in this.
Love that bit crush noise in the background there. Very cool breakdown.
Oh wow, that's so cool. So melodic. That's nice.
Cool drum sound.
This one's also got some really nice bit crushing sounds in it. I love those little chops.
That loop that runs through this whole thing is pretty cool. I like that loop a lot. Nice build-up breakdown. Yeah. This rock's pretty good.
Wow, that melody. Whoa, that's unreal. Some really nice use of stereo width on this track.
Really cool outro here. I dig the drum sounds he was able to get.
Yeah, that was very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well done.
My name's Craig Drabik. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I produce under the name Stabbed by Prongs. Hey guys, I'll take you through my sample flip, show you a couple of the things that I created out of the original loop. Didn't really know what I was doing here, so I decided to just start throwing some of my best sonic destroyers in Logic at the original loop and see what came out. One of the first things that I pulled out of here was looking for drum sounds and really just concentrating on the intro to the loop where we had sort of drums in isolation. Ran these through Fat Effects in Logic, added some filtering, distortion, things like that to the sample, and kind of got this cool vibe going here. Added to that Baby Audio Spaced Out, which is a plugin I really love. It's a rhythmic delay and a really kind of wonky reverb that gives things a really weird sound, cool sound. And really just playing with the presets on a lot of these plugins until I came up with something that I really thought was interesting and then tweaked to taste. On top of that, add some Bit Crusher, and all of a sudden you have some cool sounding industrial drums and some real cool source material. The other thing I'll take you through is this kind of blippy loop that I created. So the original loop sounds like this, and use step effects in Logic to add some rhythmic processing to the sample. Super VHS from Baby Audio, tape saturation, and some delay, and wound up with this cool kind of blippy loop that ultimately winds up sounding like this after some additional processing. From there, I pulled everything into the MPC. I'm an MPC guy, and really laid out just, drums. Got a couple of cool snare sounds that I just snipped out, not a lot of processing there. Hi-hats, same thing, just, long amp envelope for the open hat, short amp envelope for the closed hat, not a whole lot there. I pulled a couple of cool synthesizer sounds out of some of the more kind of harsher timbres that came out of the processing. This particular synth is processed with a 6-pole BB style filter, a little bit of filter envelope, but connecting velocity to modulate the filter cutoff. And when we listen to that particular synth, it comes out sounding like this. I just added a little bit of delay to that sound as well to give it a little bit more depth. I also came up with this cool high pass sound, and again a little bit of delay, but just taking that timbre in the MPC and again filter cutoff. This one's a high pass filter, and worked up this little groove with that sound. Just kind of cool and trippy. So for the drums, for the most part, I didn't do a whole heck of a lot to some of the sounds that I pulled out. I made a couple of snares, and these are just really hits that were extracted out of the process samples, some reverb, a little bit of amp envelope on there, not a whole heck of a lot. The hi-hats, same thing. These are really just high frequency noise that I pulled out of the sample with a little amp envelope for the closed hat, real tight snip sound, and longer envelope for the open hat. From there, I got kind of lazy and I pulled some kick drum samples out of my MPC vault. I added a bass pad on the Virus for one part and bass lead in the Roland System 8 for another part. That's the main bass in the song. And then a little bit of sugar in one section on the Kawai K5000. And the track is done. It's basically what you see here. A loop, 2 synth sounds I made on the MPC, kick, 2 kicks, 2 snares, and the hi-hats. And the snares and hi-hats were made from the samples. 3 synth sounds and we're good to go. So I hope you guys enjoy the track. I had fun working on it, and thanks for watching.
It's got some really nice ambience to it.
Yeah. This feels like some film score shit. Or video game.
And I really like that snare. Sounds like it's gonna go somewhere now. What's gonna happen?
Boom.
Ooh.
That's an awesome bass line.
It's some really cool groove. Some really nice crunchiness in this track.
That noise is awesome. I want to know how you did that.
I really like that bit crushing sound.
That sort of blah 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 thing's really cool. Groovy.
Really nice resonant modular sounds here.
Love the glitches, love the glitches.
Oh, that snare. It's got this really interesting kind of old school, new school sound to it. I don't know where quite to put it.
Nice. Getting all ethereal here. Don't know where the sample is, but I'm sure it's there. All over, probably.
I was actually really looking forward to another drop there. That track was really well done. Congrats.
Awesome. That's a cool ending too. Love the fade out there. Awesome job. Super groovy, both of these. And that one was super bass heavy. Love it.
Ayo, it's Jed Rabbit here, and this is how I went about flipping the sample. Okay, so this was quite challenging. There was a lot of trial and error to be able to get something that actually worked. My whole strategy for this track was to use as much of the sample as possible. The only sounds in my track which is not from the sample is my kick drums. So let me show you some various bits and pieces. So how I went about this was I took the sample into my DAW and I took a look at the various transients of the track. I then took a razor, and what I did was I cut just before the various transients, and then what I did was I separated them a bit. Now the problem is you'll hear some clicks at the end of these bits, which is not ideal. So what I then did was I did some fade outs to make it sound more like a single hit. So what I did after that was I tried to create some little grooves by chopping up various bits and pieces. Here's an example of some. So I then took those various bits and pieces that I cut out. So then I added some distortions to give it some nice grit and noise, and gave it some reverb to make it very spacious. To keep it a bit more interesting, I added a lot of these little cut up pieces. Cut that trumpet up a bit to have these little samples. And then I added some distortion and some phasing to it. What I then did was cut out a loop from the sample, I stretched it out to 8 bars, and I reversed it, and this is what it sounds like. I then found another loop in the track, cut it out, stretched out to 4 bars, and this is what it sounds like. I then equalized it quite a bit. Added some distortion and some phasing, as well as a filtered gate to give it some rhythm. I also took the sample and I threw it in a granular synth. The granular synth has got some phasing on it and some distortion. That's what it sounds like, but I added an ARP to it to make it play a lot longer. And the phaser is giving it some movement. I then also took the beginning beat of the sample, cut it up a bit, added some distortion, as well as cutting out the snare from the sample. That's what it sounds like. Add some distortion to it, make it nice and crunchy. Also, I took bits and pieces of the trumpet, cut it out, stretched it out quite a bit, added a fade out to it, and quite a bit of reverb and delay to create these nice little ambient pieces. There's also a filter gate on it to give it some movement. This is what it sounds like without it. But with it, you can hear it's got a bit of movement to it. Then also created a little crunchy hi-hat out of the sample. This is what it sounds like without the effects. It's got quite a short tail and a lot of distortion to it. And yeah, that's how I went about making this track.
A very cool beat. I like the vibe.
Really groovy already from the get-go.
Yeah, I dig this loop.
Oh, I like that. But the stretched samples that fit into the whole overall stereo thing, that's really cool.
Oh, very cool.
And the driving plucks in the back are really nice.
Yeah, I like how he used a more kind of original treatment of the sample, not a whole lot of processing on it, just kind of bringing little elements of it in and out. That's very cool.
Ooh.
Neat little breakdown.
Nice change up.
Nice little change up there. It's very sound collage, and I really like that. I'm almost like waiting for the KMFDM guitars to come in. It's got that kind of vibe to it. Very cool track.
Nice. That was awesome. That was super groovy all the way through. Very fun stuff. Awesome job.
Origination overload.